Licensing Subcommittee. I'm just going to read some points from the protocol. The meeting will be live streamed. Please only speak when invited to by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communication via the chair. Please ensure that your mics are muted when you're not speaking. When speaking, please be succinct and do not exceed the allocated timeframes. If referring to any written submissions, please refer to the specific number in the agenda pack. Any new evidence can only be submitted at the discretion of the chair and the agreement of all parties. If you're having any technical difficulties, please use the chat function to alert the meeting. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the subcommittee. Any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in removal from the meeting. Once the application has been considered, any remaining parties will be asked to log out of the hearing. Please do so promptly so that councillors will have the opportunity to deliberate and make a decision. Each party will be notified of the decision within 5 working days. However, if you contact the licensing service the following day, you will be given a skeleton decision. Please can I ask the subcommittee to appoint a chair?
Can I nominate Councillor Smith, please?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you, colleagues, for that. And welcome everyone today to Licensing Subcommittee E meeting. There's the hard copy. Tuesday, the 31st of January at 2 o'clock. So welcome everyone. So just before we start, we'll just go around the virtual room and introduce ourselves. I'm Councillor Smith, Stoke Newington Ward, and also Chair of Licensing. Councillor Root.
Sorry, I'm Councillor Root. I'm a member of the Licensing Subcommittee and represent Victoria Ward.
Thank you. Councillor Ozen.
Councillor Olsen for London Fields.
And today on the call we have an observer, Councillor Walker. Councillor Walker, would you just like to introduce yourself very briefly? He's just observing today, by the way, folks.
Yeah, hi, I'm Councillor Walker, member of the Licensing Committee, just observing today, member of the Beauvoir Ward.
Thank you. And Suba?
I'm Subash Reed. I'm a Principal Licensing Officer and I'll be presenting the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Amanda?
Good afternoon. My name is Amanda North from Legal Services, a solicitor supporting members this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. And Channing?
Good afternoon. I'm Channing Riviere, Principal Licensing Officer, representing the Licensing Authority this afternoon.
And thank you. And we have Peter, who's the Governance Officer you've heard from already. Thank you, Peter. And then we have Mario on the call who deals with our IT. Thank you, Mario, for all you do. So we've got 2 others I can see. Is it Zayad? Yeah, have I said it correctly? Yeah, can't hear you. You're not indicating that you're on mute, but I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself, Zayad?
Yeah, I'm Zaid from the Pizza Club Dalston, and I put in an application for a late license.
Okay, brilliant. Zaid, that's the way. Yeah, that's the way to say it. Brilliant. Thank you. Sorry for the mispronunciation. No okay, and then we have, is it Bessem on the call as well? Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. Do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, my name is Bessem Aydini, and I'm here with the applicant Mustafa Aslan. We're from the Barrel Boulangerie. We're the second case.
Okay. Thank you very much. Excellent. That's great. Okay, so I think we can move swiftly on. So we have agenda item 1, which is the election of chair, which we've done. Agenda item 2, apologies for absence. We haven't received any today, as far as I'm aware. Agenda item 3, declaration of interest. Do members have any declarations of interest to declare?
No.
No, I have none. Agenda item 4 is the I will outline the hearing procedure. Sorry, I just got an itchy eye there. So the hearing procedure, step 1 is the appointment of chair. We've done that. Step 2, the licensing officer will outline the report. Step 3, the applicant will present their case in support of their application. And step 4 would be responsible authorities. And today, Environmental Health put forward a submission. They're not here, but members will have read their submission. The police are not here today either, but again, we will have read their submission. Licensing are here, so we will hear from them. And then step 5 is other persons. Now, each of those steps is 5 minutes each, which I'll be timing. Then step 6, we move into a 15-minute discussion around all the issues. Step 7 is closing remarks. Step 8, final clarification. And then we'll ask participants to leave, and then we will go on to consider this later. You can phone in tomorrow for a decision, or you will get a written decision within 5 working days. Okay? Everyone happy?
Yes.
Any questions at this stage? Okay, so let's move swiftly forward then to step 2. And I would like to invite the licensing officer to outline the report. Thank you, Suba.
Thank you, Chair. So the first item we are going to consider for this afternoon is for a premises license under the Licensing Act of 2003 for 550 Kingsland Road, where the applicant is seeking for the authorization of late night refreshment from 2300 to 4 a.m. Monday to Sunday. As you can see stated within the report, representation remains from environmental enforcement, police, licensing, and one other person. We have not received any other additional information, and I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So if we could just move on to the applicant, please. Zaid.
Yes.
Great. So you've got 5 minutes, Zaid, to talk us through why you want this license and why you want it until 4 in the morning.
Okay, so I understand the need for a special policy area that's been introduced in the Dalston region because of the rapid business growth is seen and the negative impact it can have on local residents, especially with litter, antisocial behavior, noise, and crime, especially linked to alcohol consumption. I noticed that a lot of bars and restaurants and food shops are putting in applications at the moment for late licensing, so maybe it's something the council is focusing on because it's a special policy area, because before the bars and clubs used to be open till 4 5 a.m. very late. So we don't sell alcohol, and one of the representations we received was from a local resident, and they were confused because they thought we would be selling alcohol, which is not the case, and we don't intend on selling any alcohol. I'm just proposing to offer delivery later on into the evening. So being restricted to 11 p.m. at the moment, it affects us heavily because a lot of people tend to order pizza later into the night, and in the daytime is something that they would rather eat out or get food from a different place. So businesses are facing a lot of pressures at the moment, especially with inflation soaring and our costs going up. So the expendable income of our customers has reduced because their salaries have not increased in line with inflation. So they've got less money to spend on luxury food items like pizza. So that's why I thought, let me put an application in, stay open later and get the rest of the market who is awake at that time. So at the moment, we close at 11 p.m. and I've done some research in the surrounding area, and I found that on Friday and Saturdays, alcohol and food is available at bars till 2 a.m., such as the Hoxton Cabin. And I found a pizza takeaway open till 2 a.m. on Friday, Saturday called Voodoo Rays. New Capital Kebab is open till 1 a.m. and Creams next door to me is offering eat-in until 11 p.m. and collection and delivery until 1 a.m. So at the minimum, when I applied for my application, I was hoping for this because they had been approved some time back. They put their application in August, I think. So I thought, okay, we can cut off the eat-in at 11 p.m. That makes sense. I understand that. But the takeaway, when people come, they order on the phone, they come in and they just take their food and go. So I thought this would be suitable until 1 a.m. And for delivery, I wanted to push till 4 a.m. So we have the shutter half down and we're delivering until 4 a.m. Uber and Deliveroo still operate at that time, and their drivers are very good, and we have our own drivers as well. So if the 4 a.m. is not a good idea for 7 days a week, I propose to allow us to do this for at least Friday and Saturday, when a lot of the public are awake until that time and they go out drinking. And I thought this is something they would use to sober up, and they would be hungry at that time. And people tend to eat pizza at home. They don't stand around on the road and eat it on the road and cause a nuisance. We haven't found our pizza boxes lying on the road anywhere. And in the representations I was emailed, I did respond individually to all of the departments, like the environmental department, the police. And I did set out a lot of points of additional licensing objectives to allow my license to be approved. So some of those is like facial recognition, CCTV, which I've implemented, a panic button with very short link for security office. We have an incident log. The premises is staffed by 2 or more people after 9 p.m. We clean the rubbish outside the shop every day. All of our stock deliveries come before 5 p.m. So all of those are set out in the emails. I don't know if you lot can see it, but we do try our best, and I hope you can, yeah, perfect. And I hope you can allow us to have takeaway and delivery until 1 a.m., 7 days a week, and on Friday and Saturday, at least till 4 a.m. So, yeah.
Okay, Zain, is that
Yeah,
is
my
that-
5 minutes are about to be up any second anyway, so that's fine.
well, you've got a minute. You've got a minute if you need it.
Okay, yeah. So the when one of the council emailed me and said they'd done a visit after 11 p.m. one day because they were questioning my management. So once the first visit happened, we ceased trading after 11 p.m. and there was another subsequent visit around 11:23 p.m. after a few weeks or 1 month. And they saw the shutter half down. They didn't make any order. They weren't able to make any order. And we were waiting for an Uber driver to collect an order. We were actually closed at this time. But sometimes when we have orders from before 11 p.m., the Uber and delivery drivers can take some time to come and collect it because of increased demand and less drivers at that time. So just in case the council brings that up, that's the explanation, which I've emailed them as well, and they understood.
Okay, thank you for that, Zaid.
Thank
I
you,
can see
Robert.
Councillor Root, you've got your hand up. Would you like to come in?
Thank you. Yeah, no, I just really wanted a bit of clarity because I read the emails, and from what I'd read, I was understanding that you wanted walk-in custom until 4 o'clock or 3:45 on Saturdays and Fridays. Is that not the case anymore? Are you
I
going
don't need that. No, I've done a lot of research on the special policy area. It does make sense. I do understand, and I know the crime rate in the area. So I can cut off collection at 1 a.m. That's no problem at all. I do want to compromise here as well.
Okay, so we don't have to worry about walk-ins after
No.
1 o'clock on Saturdays and Fridays.
No.
Okay. But you would like until 1 a.m. 7 days a week, or how many
Yeah,
days?
7 days a week collection and delivery, and on Friday and Saturday delivery only until 4 a.m.
Right. Okay. That's just for clarity's sake, really. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I come in?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah. Zaid, how long have you been running that shop? And this is I like to have some, if you tell us how long have you been running there? And then also I like to ask question about delivery base, and then are there any delivery base, and then is it suitable for cars? You mentioned about the Uber. Do you have your own delivery stuff? And
Yeah, Jan, can I just stop you there for a second? Can we get into all of this in the discussion phase?
Okay.
At this point, we're just seeking small bits of sort of clarifications at this point. Let's bring Channing in next. So Channing, would you like to come in and make your representation, please? Thank you. Sorry, Jan, but we can get into all that in the discussion.
That's okay. That's okay. No worries.
Okay, thank you, Chair. You can see my representation at Appendix B2 of the report. It's primarily related to the fact that obviously the premises is located in the Dalston Special Policy Area, and the hours being sought are far in excess of the core hours policy LP3. In addition to this, we had concerns, as the applicant spoke about, where we've previously found this premises operating without a license. So the first instance of that was at approximately 6 minutes past 2 a.m. on 10th of September 2022. We spoke to the operator at that time, my colleague Mr. David Chewett and myself, and advised them of the requirement to have a premises license to operate, provide late night refreshment at that time. Again, on the 16th of September at approximately 11:32, and we spoke to the staff at that time again regarding the requirement for a premises license, and this followed up with a formal warning letter. And then again on the 23rd of October at approximately 25 minutes past midnight. So this again was followed up with a formal warning letter. And our concerns here is that, it's taken a significant amount of time for the operator to actually, one, apply for a license, and two, sort of comply with what the regulations are with regards to licensable activity. Now, within our SPA, we would usually expect a higher standard from the operators. It shouldn't take 3 visits from the licensing authority. And given that, we can't visit every premises every week, we're not sure how long the premises was operating like that. Are there instances in between where they may have been operating without a license? And, this is our concern around the management that's been raised in our representation. There is some suggestion from the applicant about, not having walk-in customers after a particular time, which we do welcome. Some of the conditions that they've suggested are welcome as well, though they may need to be reworded to be a bit more enforceable. But all in all, the hours that they're seeking are still far in excess of our core hours, so we do have some concerns about that as well, Chair. And nothing further to add at this stage.
Okay, thank you very much, Channing. Councillor Root.
Thanks, Councillor Smith. Channing, Zaid said that he explained to us in his submission that there was a sort of a misunderstanding, and on the second occasion that you caught them operating beyond their hours, they weren't sort of properly operating. They were just waiting for something to be collected, which had already been cooked. Is that, in your view, I mean, he seemed to imply that you'd understood that and that you were sympathetic to it, but now it seems that perhaps you're not. What is your view about that situation?
Well, Chair, I could understand that if on the second occasion, where it was approximately 23:32 on 16th of September, but then following that, on the 23rd of October at 25 past midnight, we found them operating again. So it's been clarified more than once to the operator what the requirements are. So unless this is not being communicated to staff properly, or what exactly is going on there for us to find it not only once, twice, but 3 times after we've spoken to the people on the premises, we've spoken to the operator about it. So this is what raised our concerns around, the management of the premises, particularly that is within our Dalston special policy area.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, Channing, around sort of regulated hours? I mean, obviously they were trading until 11 before. That was admissible, yeah, without a license. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only because of these events that we're just describing on the 10th, 16th, and 23rd of October, 10th and 16th of September, that basically it's prompted you now to, or prompted them to come back for the license, for a license. Yeah. Brilliant.
That would be my understanding, Chair.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we can just move into the discussion phase now. So just open it up to members, and Jan, you can carry on with your inquisition if you want.
Okay, thank you. And yes, same things here. How long has it been there? Said, how long have you been running the business? Can you give us more information about your delivery policies? You mentioned about Uber, you mentioned about your own stuff as well. So how do you do that? By motor vehicles like cars, bikes, or scooter? Are they electric or whatever? I'd like to get some more information about that.
Yeah, no problem. So I've been there for a few years now, and outside our shop, there's actually bays. So you Creams is next door to us, a dessert shop. So all of their Uber drivers and our Uber drivers, they stop in those bays and come and collect the order and go. And there's loading bays for our stock deliveries. So the council has done some work outside this area, because the council building is like a few minutes walk away as well. So our drivers do have the.
Zaid, can I just stop you there, because we've been talking about bays, and you do mention you've got multiple bays. As we're on the subject, sorry, Jan, as we're on that particular topic, I don't know if things have changed, but I looked on Google Maps before this meeting, and I couldn't see any loading bays there at all. I might be wrong, because there were a few cars in the way, but what I do know,
about 7 months ago, it was done. The road work was done. There is bays on both sides of the roads now.
Is there still a Pelican crossing there? Is there still
Yeah, but it's a bit further down, because there's a traffic light as well. Yeah, the Pelican crossing is there.
Yeah.
When you come out the shop, turn left.
Because what happens with the Pelican crossing, you have those kind of zigzaggy lines that extend either side of the Pelican crossing. You know, so how far do they extend up to your shop?
Those lines, zigzag lines, but the Pelican crossing is on the left of our shop, about 25 meters away, 20 meters maybe.
Yeah,
So
as you're looking at the shop, yeah, as you're looking to
yeah,
at the
you
front
come
of the
out
shop.
and turn left, and then you walk a tiny bit, and then it's there. So
Right.
it's not right outside the shop.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, Channing, can you help us here with this one? There's a Pelican crossing near this this shop, and on either side of a Pelican crossing, you have white lines, zigzaggy lines. You know the ones I mean? Yeah, yeah. Nod your head.
Yes, Chair, I know the ones you mean, yeah.
Yeah. So those lines you cannot park at all within that area on the road. So we just need to know how far they extend, basically, towards Zaid's shop. Because on Google Maps, they seem to almost hit it.
So on the image that I can see from Google Maps, the Pelican crossing is approximately maybe four to five premises down from the actual entrance of the premises.
Yeah, but the zigzag lines in particular I'm talking about here.
Yeah, they're from the image that I can see, they're not in front of the premises directly. And
Yeah.
I would add that on our observations, we have seen the delivery drivers using the bays that the applicants mentioned. So we have.
So how many bays are outside Zaid's shop that you know of?
There's only one that I can remember from memory.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
remember
Well, that sort of clears that up. Jan, sorry about that.
That's okay. Said, please carry on. How many delivery drivers you have, and then how many? I mean, also you are using the Ubers. Are they cars or scooter or bikes? If it's
So Uber has motorbike drivers. I haven't seen a car driver in this area, because it's very difficult for car drivers to operate in this area. I have another shop in a different area in northwest London, and there's a lot more car drivers there for Uber and Deliveroo. But in this area, it's just motorbikes, because it's very hard to navigate with a car and do deliveries. But our drivers, we don't have car drivers either. We also got motorbike drivers, and our drivers actually use the Just Eat electric scooters, because we get a discount on them. They give us like 50% off. So our drivers just buy these ones, and it helps them save on.
Yeah, because I think, sorry, Jan, just on this point again, I think licensing were concerned about having a kind of like a delivery management plan. Have you thought about how you would go about managing all the deliveries?
So me or Jan, are you speaking to? Sorry,
you, Zaid.
How we would manage the deliveries?
Yeah, have you got a management plan in place for that?
So there's the Uber come and collect their own orders, so do Deliveroo, and Just Eat have a system with Stuart, is another company set up. They also send bicycle drivers, and we have our own motorbike drivers as well. But we're very efficient with our deliveries. We get there very fast. Our drivers are trained properly to be respectful. Even after 9 p.m., we don't even bell on the door. We call the customer 2 or 3 times and they open the door, because we don't like to knock on the door and disturb other people sleeping or in the building. So we have very good procedures set out for deliveries.
And how many couriers do you have yourself?
Well, one primarily, but if it's busy, then we add on another one. Because Uber, Deliveroo, and Just Eat, they can deliver it for you. we've reduced our own drivers, so they're taking control of it, and their drivers are very respectful as well, and they're trained very well.
Okay, Councillor Root.
Thank you. A couple of, well, one's an observation really. I mean, I actually think it's to be commended that you're applying for a license having been caught out operating outside the hours that you were supposed to be operating out of. I mean, that is the right thing to do, it seems to me. So personally, I'm disinclined to hold that against you. The fact that you broke the rules in the past, but now you're trying to put it right, I think is probably a good thing. But I am concerned about you going until 4 o'clock in the morning. And the reason for that, I think, is because I want to know a bit more about how you would operate until that time of the day. I think it's quite hard to imagine you being able to operate without disturbing local people. And in particular, I think you could have a problem if the shutters are open with passing trade trying to come in and buy stuff from you when you don't want to sell it to them from the walk-in trade. So how would you manage the throughput of the delivery drivers, and assuming that there will be quite a lot of them, otherwise it's not worth staying open, alongside people walking down the street and thinking, oh, they're open, let's go and get a pizza.
So there is people walking past at that time, but our shutter would be half down, and we would be passing it to the driver as we do at my other premises. And on top of our shop, there's no flats. As you see further down Kingsland Road, loads of the shops have flats above. We don't have that on our parade, and opposite, there's no shops directly opposite me either. And then you got Tesco and 2 shops there. So we don't have no one above us, so the delivery drivers wouldn't really annoy anyone above our shop. And these electric scooters these days, they're very quiet, so should be okay. And Uber and Deliveroo are operating until 4 a.m. In the past, they didn't used to, like 1-2 years ago, but with coronavirus and everything, they extended their opening hours across London.
Can I ask another question? Have you seen the additional conditions that the environmental people have suggested?
Yeah, I did reply to them, and we do keep our shop clean outside, and we have a waste transfer notice on our window now, and we have a collection point which is basically outside our shop, and they come and collect it every morning, the company with the truck, the rubbish.
So,
they give us special bags.
So are you happy to accept all of those conditions onto your license?
I can't remember it off by heart, but I did reply to everything. It was a long email. There was a lot of emails, so I can't remember exactly. But I did respond
we
to
need to
them.
know, because we have to write this license. So we need to know if we can incorporate those conditions that have been suggested into the license. Are you willing to accept them or not?
Well, if you give me time to check the email right now, I can tell you.
Okay.
1 second.
Amanda, you've got your hand up.
Yes, Chair. I was just going to suggest that the applicant checks the paperwork and reviews them, which he's doing now. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wonder
Channing.
if
Sorry, Penny.
I was just going to say, just going to ask Channing a question, really. And Channing's about to say something himself anyway, so perhaps I can just ask him quickly and he can answer it as well. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Channing, it just seems to me that quite a lot of your objections were about the idea of walk-in trade. And I wonder if you still feel as fiercely as you did now that we're not talking about walk-in trade, we're just talking about deliveries. And since it is deliveries only after 1 o'clock, if you're not happy with the 4 o'clock time, what is the time that you would be happier with?
So firstly, Councillor, I would welcome the suggestion about deliveries only after a certain time and no walk-in trade. And we do welcome that suggestion. The actual question I was going to ask was to the applicant what hours they would consider. For ourselves, from a policy point of view, we'd always suggest core hours within the SPA. I know the applicant probably won't find that suitable for their needs, but from a policy perspective, we'd always suggest something around core hours. So my next question was to ask the applicant, what what would be something they'd suggest to the committee that they feel would be a reasonable reduction in what they've applied for, if they're prepared to reduce the hours that they're seeking.
So since he's busy at the moment, if he were to come back and say 2 o'clock, what would you say?
If it was 2 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays, then I would say, you know, based on my observations of the premises, where obviously we saw them operating outside of hours, but it didn't particularly appear to be a nuisance, but we did notice people waiting for their orders outside congregating. So if that people congregating outside is no longer going to be a factor, then 2 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, and perhaps back to core hours on Sunday to Thursday, that could be reasonable. As the applicants mentioned, there's no residential premises directly above the premises to pose a risk to neighbours and members of the public in terms of public nuisance like that. So it's not a typical situation along a commercial parade that we usually face.
Could we? Are we talking about delivery services from a certain hour, all days of the week? Because I know in the pack it was mentioned, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, the store will operate for collection orders until 1, and then from 1 to 03:45, the store will only offer delivery services. Are we now talking across the board for every day? Was that the point you raised at the start, Councillor Root?
Yeah, it was. I tried to get clarity about that.
Yeah.
And they said, yes, they're not looking for any walk-in trade after 1 o'clock on any of these days.
Right. Okay. So that one we can just kind of dismiss that initial idea then.
Yeah. Although they are looking for walk-in trade until 1 o'clock, aren't they?
Yeah.
And indeed deliveries until 1 o'clock. And I think they're looking for those 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So, which, I mean, certainly from what Channing said, that's not acceptable to him for most of the week. Friday and Saturdays, he'd be willing to sort of see it go a bit longer, but 1 o'clock feels too late for you, Channing. Is that right?
From Sunday to Thursday, yeah, that's right, Chair.
So
at the discretion of the committee what you decide, but we would suggest from Sunday to Thursday, 1 a.m. or anything beyond the core hours wouldn't be something that we'd agree with.
So, Channing, just to clarify where you're at with this, you would be saying essentially core hours for everything, including deliveries, apart from Friday and Saturday. Is that right?
That's what I would be suggesting, Chair. Yeah.
So
But if
what's
we
the
had core hours, sorry, Phil, I was just thinking if we had core hours for walk-ins, but deliveries until 1 o'clock.
I was going to suggest that as well, actually, Penny.
So that would be at the discretion of the members. Sunday to Thursday, it is going to be a noise-sensitive time, and I'm not sure about the actual impacts that will have on the.
Yeah. How about that idea just on a Friday and Saturday, Channing?
Friday and Saturday, I think it's reasonable if the operator is prepared to reduce their hours to something along the lines of perhaps 2 a.m. stuff like that, with no walk-ins at core hours or after core hours.
Okay. Well, that's better than what you suggested, Councillor Root.
I don't think that Zaid will think that because we're talking about. No, it is what I suggested was 2 o'clock for the deliveries. But if it's walk-in only until 11, I think Zaid's looking for walk-in until.
It would be 12 though. Walk until 12. That's what core hours are on a Friday and
Oh, that's
Saturday.
true. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think after that, I can see that the area where we're going to end up debating is the deliveries Sunday to Thursday after core hours or not. Are we wanting to have any? What do we feel about that? Given what Zaid's just said about it being relatively quiet and using electric scooters, etc., etc.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've got a good picture of where we're at with that. Amanda.
Yes, Chair. Two questions to the Chair. Chair, I don't know if you want to make inquiries with the Mr. Rivera, what conditions he was saying need to be reworded, because he said that the applicant had proposed conditions which are acceptable, but some of them need to be reworded. So just so that everyone's clear and it's transparent.
Yeah, there's quite a number of them though. That's the thing.
Yes, I know, but what I'm saying is he knows which ones he may want amending, etc. Is what I'm trying to say, so that when members are considering them, they can consider those
Channing,
amendments.
is that something that Channing could do kind of outside the meeting after?
Well, what I'm saying is, if he's aware of them now, if he says them in the meeting, it's actually appropriate, because then it's open and transparent in the meeting,
Yeah.
which is where most of it should be done, basically.
Yeah.
So unless it's something that we omit or something, or completely forget. But if he's able to, if not, we can agree them outside if he's agreeable to that.
Yeah, Channing, there's quite a lot there. I mean, that's the list of them there.
Yes, but he is aware of what they are. He is aware
Yeah.
of those conditions.
I know, but they're quite wordy conditions. Channing, over to you.
So the primary ones that I was referring to would be, some of the CCTV conditions.
Okay.
They probably need to be reworded to what our colleagues in the police usually use.
Okay, that's helpful. Good, that's fine. Yeah. So that's
the-
easily done.
Yeah, those ones, like we
Yeah, no,
understand
I
the
can
one
do
about
that.
a
It's
minimum
just
of-
I just wanted to check if there was anything else you see unusual that I might need to be aware of. That was all. So the CCTV ones need to be reworded, and anything else?
just there's one as well around the deliveries.
Deliveries.
I can't remember what condition it is off the top of my head.
Number 15, delivery drivers shall conduct the delivery in a manner that will not cause a noise disturbance to the occupier. That one. Is it that one? Of any residential property surrounding the delivery address. This includes the avoidance of slamming doors, playing loud music, shouting, over-revving engines, sounding horns. Is that the one?
Yeah, it's that one. So that, as a condition, it's not something that's enforceable for any authority. So it may need to be turned to something like, the operator should have a delivery management plan, where in their delivery management plan, they can have these things, what they've outlined in condition 15, as part of something that they remind their drivers of or train their staff to do.
Okay, thank you for that. And then, Chair, my second point is the principal licensing officer has emailed members the representation from the applicant to the environmental enforcement. So I don't know if you want to just quickly check your email to see that, because it's got a list of conditions there, or points that he's raised. So if that helps you.
Yep, thank you. That's gone to our hackney.gov address, yeah?
That's right, Chair. Yeah.
Yeah, just looking at that. So if members could look at that as well, if you've got your emails there. Right. Do these replicate the conditions that are in there? Yeah, I think they replicate the conditions that are that he's already put in the pack, as far as I know. But then he goes on
page 70.
Yeah, but then he goes on to talk about them. Yeah.
But basically, you still need to confirm that he agrees the conditions set out in the pack.
Yeah,
For
that's
the
what.
environment email, I agree to everything they've said.
Yeah.
I checked it just now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Amanda. I've just read all that, so that looks good. Thank you. Okay. So where are we then?
For the applicants come back to confirm that they agreed the conditions on the environmental enforcement, and you've also looked at that email. So that's where we are in the environmental enforcement conditions.
Yeah. Zaid, I think we need to get straight to the point. Just let's talk about hours.
Yeah.
Now, whilst you were away, maybe you heard some of the discussion in the background. I don't know.
Yeah.
So just help me, Councillor
We
Root, if I
we
get
were
this wrong.
we were saying that the licensing officer has suggested to go to core hours Sunday to Thursday until 1 o'clock, or till midnight, sorry, and for the rest apart from Friday and Saturday. And also that the conditions in respect of the CCTV need to be reworded in accordance with the standard police conditions. And also condition 15 is not enforceable, and that it needs to be incorporated into the delivery management plan.
That's fine. I'll make we can have that delivery
just-
management plan.
Just to
But that-
sum up, Zaid, on the hours. So
Yeah.
it'd be core hours to trade essentially, and I mean, and do all you want to do is within those hours, like you were doing before. So that would include deliveries and walk-ins, yeah, for core hours on apart from Friday and Saturday.
You know,
Friday-
Cream next door to me, the dessert shop, they have collection and delivery until 1 a.m. 7
Yeah.
days a week.
Yeah, 7 days a week. What we're proposing at the moment, asking you if you would accept this initially, is Friday and Saturday night, core hours, yeah, but then you have your deliveries until 2. So that's 1 hour extra on Cream. How does that sound?
Can I add something on? Zaid, also, would you be accepting that using only electrical vehicles after core hours for the delivery?
What vehicle? Sorry, electronic.
Electric.
Is very difficult to implement that because I have no control over the Uber and Deliveroo drivers. For my drivers, I can. That's no problem at all. I can provide a receipt of the purchase from Just Eat or something as proof. But I have no control over the third-party drivers that come to the shop. It'd be very difficult to implement. And in regard to Cream's closing time, I wouldn't want to drop down below their hours considering they're right next door to me, literally next door, and they got collection and delivery until 1 a.m. 7 days a week. So I was hoping for that as a minimum. And then on Friday and Saturday only, however many hours you can add on to that would be very helpful. I don't want to argue back because I know we have councillors in this meeting and everyone knows the crime in the area and you guys have a better picture. So whatever you do give me, I will work with that and try my best. But the more hours you can add on, the easier it'll be for me.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Root, before you come in, I think you're probably thinking the same thing as me, is to ask Channing what he thinks of that. I don't know if that was what you're going to ask, but Channing, you know, Cream does the deliveries until 1 and they're right next door, as he said. I mean, it's a very good point. Do you think that having another premises doing the same thing will add to problems there or not?
Chair, I mean, every application is dealt with on its own merits. So the operations of other premises, licensed premises within the area is not something we typically factor in. Like, it's not a justification to extend hours for another premises. I mean, if we did that, then, you know, one premises that potentially had 3 or 4 a.m., every other premises can then come and get 3 or 4 a.m. So it's not something we consider when, you know, we're looking at individual applications. The application has to be considered on its own merit. So the hours of neighbouring businesses is not something I'd necessarily give a lot of weight to, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And I've got Councillor Root and then Amanda.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how directly comparable a desserts shop with a pizza shop is. But it does seem to me that 1 o'clock is very late during the week. But I just equally, I think 11 o'clock is probably a bit early. I'm just wondering if we were to meet you in the middle at midnight, how would you feel about that?
It's just very difficult to accept considering right next door we have food delivery until 1 a.m. So it'd be very difficult for me to accept that. All of our trade comes later on into the night. It's not something people order for lunch or even for dinner. It's something they order when there's no other option later on into the evening, and we get busier as the night goes on. So we're very quiet in the daytime, so we have to pick up the trade later on.
Okay, Amanda. Thank you, Zaid.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to actually confirm the same thing that the licensing officer said, which was that each application is considered on its own merits, and also that members can't take into consideration financial circumstances. So the profit or loss of a premises isn't something part of the 4 licensing objectives for you to consider. So unfortunately, although there's a great deal of sympathy with premises, you know, each application is considered on its own merits, and also when Creams was considered at that time, it was considered on its own merits at that time. So you know, it's just the way things arise at the time. Thank you.
Councillor Root.
Yeah, I suppose I'd just return to the point I made earlier on, which is that they did break the rules when they were supposed to be closing at 11. Not horrendously, but a little bit. And they are trying to get themselves within the rules and operate a viable business at the moment. Personally, I think 1 o'clock is late, but I personally would feel that midnight was a reasonable compromise to, if you like, show willing for the fact that that Zaid's actually trying to get a license to operate in more of the times that he wants to, but equally not to go too far in the opposite direction of breaking the SPA too much.
Would that include a Sunday in your mind as well, or?
Probably would, yeah.
Okay. So what we're looking at there, Zaid, is basically 12 o'clock Monday to Thursday core hours. I mean, outside of core hours, you get to midnight on those days, including Sunday, yeah? And then Friday, Saturday, you go to core hours, and then 1 hour beyond for deliveries. Is that right? No, 2. So until 2 for deliveries.
Hey, can we talk about all this separately, then we get back to applicants?
Yeah, we're just asking Zaid what he feels about that idea.
I'm just struggling to understand the further negative impact it would add if I closed at 12 or 1 o'clock, considering Creams is already operating as that. I understand that you can't compare it, but they are next door and they are operating at the moment. So what further negative impact could I have that would incline you people to reject my application to close at 1 o'clock? From my initial application, I've already compromised and reduced heavily on everything, massively compared to my initial application, because I understood the special policy area, done some research of the local area. It is a special policy area. We can't look at everything and set a precedent and one shop closes at 4, so they all have to close at 4. I think it's very fair to continue until 1. Okay, even if I had to stop collection at 12 on the weekdays you mentioned, I would like to continue delivery until 1 for that additional hour. It would help me on the Uber and Deliveroo. People do order larger amounts of money on the orders at that time as well. So it's less orders, but it's higher value. So it's not constant drivers coming in and out. You'll have one person that may order £50 worth of pizza, as opposed to 5 drivers coming to collect a £10 order.
Yep. Zaid, you have to remember though that the licensing officer is saying core hours, he's happy with those, and that you're talking about 11 and then 12 on a Friday and Saturday and 10:30 on a Sunday. You know what I mean? So anyway, Councillor Root.
No, I mean, I just wanted to remind Zaid that he may well have come back a long way from what he was applying for originally, but you were never going to get that. That was so far outside of core hours that it's an irrelevance. So what we're trying to do is to deal with what's likely. And I think when it comes to cumulative impact, which is what the SPA is about, what we're talking about really is numbers of people on the streets at certain times. And even if it's only delivery drivers who are on the streets, if there are delivery drivers up until 1 o'clock going to both Creams and to your establishment, that is more people on the street. That is additional cumulative impact. It is more noise. So that's the reason that we're being a bit funny about it. It's not because we're wanting to be awkward. There is some reasoning behind this.
Go on, Zaid. I know you want to come back.
No, there's nothing more I can add than, apart from the collection stops at 12 and delivery continues until 1 a.m. on those days.
Yeah, that's where you're coming from. Okay. Well, at least you'll be. Go on, Jan.
Yes, can I ask you only? Can I just suggest one point? When you do delivery, if you get until 1 o'clock, would you be considered to shut to close all shutter down and then just make a delivery area on the shutter and other basic ones? So because of the point of penny, when people sees the shutter halfway, they might try to get in or so.
Yeah, I would have the shutter half
Can
down.
you get all the shutter all the way down and then cut in some place, putting some place on the shutter so you can still do your
That's a good idea, but it would affect the structural integrity of the shutter once I cut a massive hole into it. So I would need to cut a hole into my glass as well. It would be very difficult to do that, but it's a very good idea. But with the shutter half down, or even more than half down, I can still pass the order to the drivers and nobody would come in. Because the shutter is, you can't see through it. It doesn't have the small holes. It's completely blacked out. So when it is down, it does look closed. I can turn off my signboard light as well, but we don't have an issue with people trying to come in like that. But I'll make sure the signboard light is off as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Have we talked about the sort of? We haven't really spoken about the cumulative impact, sort of directly, Zaid. I mean, you've mentioned a little bit. You know, how will you manage the extra custom?
What do you mean the extra custom? It wouldn't be.
At the moment you're shutting at 11, so we're talking at the moment about giving you an extra hour on all those days. So how are you going to manage that extra hour? You know,
It wouldn't be difficult. So it's just the same thing we're selling and the same system we're running all day. The drivers come and collect the orders and that's it. As I said, the orders get higher value as the night goes on and less orders but higher value.
Yeah, but you didn't mention a management plan which we kind of asked you to deliberate.
Delivery management plan. Yeah, I can get one of those drawn up in the coming days.
So that would be good to do. Amanda.
Yes, Chair. You've raised a valid point because the applicant, Chair, hasn't explained how they will not add to the cumulative impact in the special policy area, i.e. what preventative actions. We understand obviously they're selling pizza until X hour, and that's the standard procedure of how they do that. But what are they doing to stop the noise, or if any noise arose, or if, for example, the delivery drivers were causing a noise or other problems in the area which might amount to a nuisance for local residents? How are they going to deal with that? So that needs to be explained. Thank you.
I have no control over Uber and Deliveroo drivers, what they do when they're outside the shop. So I don't know what I could do with the noise or the noise of passing vehicles that drive down a busy high street all day and all night, which is why I purchased the shop on this road. It is a high street, it's not a side road. It's not deep into a residential zone. I am on Kingsland Road in Dalston, next to Stoke Newington, which is why I came to do business over there. And there's so much traffic going past all day. The noise from another delivery bike is not going to add more impact. And my drivers have the electric bikes anyway.
Yeah, it's more about the extra customers.
Already.
It's more about the extra customers. Obviously, the delivery drivers is key as well, but it's more about the extra customers that you'll be getting. You know, we just need some ideas from you to tell us how you are going to prevent them causing problems.
Well, I've installed the CCTV, which is also outside the shop. We've got a sign saying, please leave quietly. We will clean up any mess in our vicinity outside of our shop, as we do at the moment. And we brush that bit outside of our shop. And we don't find people congregating outside because there's a gym next door, 2 gyms next door. So they close early. So there's no reason for people to be there. And the other side of our shop, a few doors down, those shops close early. So there's nothing right next to us or opposite us for people to congregate. Further down the road now, when you go past the 2 stations, this is where you find congregation. Where McDonald's is, the Wings shop, this is where you find people congregating, cars parked up, and this is way further down past our shop.
Yeah, Zaid, Councillor Root, I can see you've got your hand up. I just want to make one more point about this. You said you bought on Kingsland High Road. It's a busy high road. It's not a residential street. This is why the SPA is there, is because it's a busy situation down there, because there is trouble. And you know that, and you mentioned that earlier on. That's why we've got the special policy area to prevent that. And what we don't want to do with new premises licenses add to that. So we need to be reassured by you, the applicant, that that's not going to be added to. You know, so you mentioned earlier on that you took that SPA really seriously, and I was slightly concerned with the sort of almost flippant comments about, you know, Kingsland High Road being just busy and, you know, there's loads of people anyway and it doesn't really matter. It does matter, and I just want to reinforce that to you, that it does really matter. Councillor Root.
Yeah, I just wanted to check that we're not talking at cross purposes here at the moment, because I guess I was imagining that the walk-in business is going to stay at core hours, and it's the delivery service which we're talking about extending till midnight and 2 o'clock. So actually, the amount of cumulative impact is really limited only to the delivery drivers, I think, and that's a relatively small amount of cumulative impact. It's not big.
Yeah.
But
I had in my mind 12 o'clock for walk-ins as well, you see.
did you? Right. Okay. So that's just what I wanted to raise, really. But are we talking slightly at cross purposes or not?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, if walk-ins were allowed till 12, if that's what was decided, Zaid, you know, you just need to kind of reassure us that that'll be under control. That's all. That you've just got an eye on it, that you're aware of it, and you'll kind of try and deal with problems.
No, definitely, I would do.
Yeah. And how would you do that?
Well, I would have a sign saying, please leave quietly, which helps as well. And we would usher people along if they start to congregate outside our shop.
Yeah.
And people do move on towards the bus stop and train stations when they're
Yeah.
finished with their night out. But we would kindly explain to them the conditions regarding our license and that we can't have them congregating outside the shop, causing a nuisance, blocking the pavement.
Exactly.
Anything like
That's
that.
all.
And if
That's
they're
all the sort of
dropping
stuff.
any pizza boxes we find around, we pick them up anyway, separate to the license. We don't like our pizza boxes being littered and the litter people have to come and pick it up. We're good with that.
Yeah, it's just really about you know, I mean, you're not going to get massive crowds there, but it's about kind of public management, crowd management kind of thing. So, you know, what you said about ushering people on and all that kind of thing, all of that's really important, you know. So we're very pleased to hear that. Do members have any further questions or clarifications? We've had a good discussion around this. We've got an idea where you're coming from, Zaid. We just need to sit down as members and just deliberate, you know, what we're finally going to offer. But you're definitely not going to be getting till 4. You know, I think you know that already.
Chair,
But
I'll just see Google Google Map. I just checked. See, I just saw the shop again. Site still. I would suggest you I would suggest you maybe you might use the shutter halfway. You know, it might be cut it. It would be very easy work, I believe. They would save you from many aggravation with the residents when they are working after 12. Think about it. Consider about divided the shutter. Yeah, one side is completely goes all down, and the other side from the door you can use to separate maybe halfway. Just the idea. That's all.
okay, well, thank you for that idea. Did you hear that idea, Zaid?
Yeah. I'll definitely speak to the shutter people and see how to navigate that. But it seems like a very difficult job because we have an electronic shutter, but I'll speak to them and see how that works. If there's solutions to stuff like that.
Okay, Channing, we're just about to go to closing remarks. Do you want to ask your question now or just leave it to closing remarks?
No, I need any
I just wanted to ask through the chair. I know the shutter situation is complicated, but is it something where maybe a window can be put in the front of the premises, where the actual front of the premises is shut and it's clear to anyone passing by that it's a delivery only or something like that? I just wanted to ask that question through the chair, because I still feel there might be some confusion for passers-by if they see a shutter half down and then they attempt to make a purchase, and that leads to people maybe congregating outside.
It might need a planning permission, but maybe if they put the shutter people, if they do steel from top to down, one steel, and then cutting it two pieces, it might work. As Zaid said here, you need to get the advice from the.
Well, my shop is very, very small. It's about 2.5 meters wide. So to install another steel in the middle, which is what you're proposing, it wouldn't work because it would then block my entrance in the daytime hours and it would affect the whole shop front. So it's a very, very narrow shop as it is. It's not a normal size large shop. It's very small.
Yeah. Amanda.
Chair, is it possible if the to avoid disruption to the premises, could they do some signage maybe to say, you know, that deliveries only after X
Yeah.
time or something?
Yeah,
Would that
that's
be
a good
possible?
idea.
Only
Yeah.
to you know, to save the cost and expense, maybe, I don't know. And then if that's either put on the door from the
Yeah.
time of when the delivery only period starts, so that there's
Yeah.
absolutely no, you know, so instead of shutters being up and down, it will be up, but have a proper sign or several signs across the front, so
Yeah.
there's no mistake that this is now a delivery only period. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely, it's a great idea. We would implement that.
Check with the
That's a good
licensing
idea.
officer if he's happy with that.
Did you hear that, Channing?
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, as long as you know, any passers-by were clearly aware that they couldn't just walk into the premises to make a purchase after a certain time.
And the door
Yeah.
could be locked, only to be opened when it's actually maybe giving out the delivery. I don't know. I know that's a bit extreme, but maybe to prevent people accidentally walking in. I don't know, but for that to save money on having to redesign the front of the premises.
Well, thank you very much for that idea, Amanda. I mean, you get the point here, Zaid.
Definitely.
We're talking. Members are talking about, you know, how the kind of logistics work. Really, the licensing officer is saying he's not totally happy with a sort of a half-closed shutter. You know, so we're just trying to provide ideas to maybe get around it. But you might find that you come up with a good solution yourself, whether it be signage or like a you know, some physical manifestation you've got to change, you know, on your shop front. So we'll kind of leave that in your hands, but you got the idea. So shall we move to closing remarks then? So if I could just ask Channing to come back.
Thank you, Chair. You've heard my comments about the premises being located in the special policy area, the core hours. We welcome the suggestion that it will be delivery only after a particular time. We would still like to see core hours on Sunday to Thursdays, and depending on, you know, if the committee is minded to grant the license, you know, it gives the operator an opportunity to build up a track record also using temporary event notices, so then they can come back at a later stage to you know, apply for extended hours similar to neighbouring premises if that's what they seek. But I think they need to build up a bit of a track record first for us to be a bit more comfortable for extended hours being approved in this area. Overall, I still think the cut-off point for when walk-ins stop is something that will be pretty crucial to what impact the premises has. And obviously the signage that's been discussed around clarifying what the delivery only times are to any members of the public is something that as well is welcomed and should definitely be implemented if the members are minded to grant the license. But nothing further to add other than that, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. And Zaid, if you just want to come back with your closing remarks. Thank you.
I mentioned everything, but just one other thing. I am a 5-star food and safety hygiene rating, so I hope that shows my level of management and our seriousness in this field of food. I am a solicitor actually, and after that I went on to open these pizza shops. So I do take it seriously, and I can work hand in hand with the council. If they ever wanted to add anything, they can call me, email me, I'll respond back. I am fast with responding to their emails, like from the environmental officers, and I'll try my best. I don't want to cause a negative impact, but I'm just trying to stay afloat. I know finances don't matter in this meeting, but I'll try my best, and I hope you can give me as many hours as possible.
Okay, thank you, Zaid.
Thank you so much for all of your time.
Yeah, thank you as well. And so we'll just close the meeting now, this particular part of the meeting. So Zaid, if I could just ask you to leave, that'd be great, and then we can move on to the next agenda item.
Would I be coming back, or am I out of the meeting now?
That's it. That's it. You're done.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Do members or anyone else, do you require a comfort break at this point? If you do, we can have one. Or do you want to just crack on with it?
Just carry on, yeah.
Yeah? Everyone happy to carry on? Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the Barrel Boulangerie, 6 Whitmore Road, N1. And Bessem, we've had our introductions. You've heard the hearing procedure, so I'm presuming you're happy with all that. So let's move on to and just let's invite the licensing officer to outline the report. Thank you, Suba.
Thank you, Chair. So the last item we are going to consider for this afternoon is for a premises license under the Licensing Act 2003 for the Barrel, 6 Whitmore Road. The applicant is seeking for the supply of alcohol for consumption on the premises from 12 to 2300 Monday to Sunday, and for consumption of alcohol off the premises from 7 to 2300 Monday to Sunday, as stated within the report. Representation remains from other persons. We have not received any other additional information, and I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And just on the representations from responsible authorities, Environmental Health did have one, but they've withdrawn theirs and agreed conditions at 8.1 in the pack. The police have also withdrawn their objections and with the following agreement of conditions, as have the Health Authority. The only people left are 2 persons, which I don't think we've got on the call. Am I correct there, Suba? Yeah?
That's right. Yeah.
So we have read their representations. They're mainly concerned about alcohol after 7, worried about encouraging noise, disorder, and public nuisance outside. Okay, so now that the licensing officer has outlined the report, we'll move to step 3 and invite Besim to present your case in support of your application. And can you try in your submission to address the outdoor space and the seating? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So we applied for a license on the 7th of November. Last representation date was 5th of December. As you mentioned earlier, we had several representations from police, environmental health, which have all been accepted in full. And lastly remaining were the 2 representations from the residents who are concerned about the sales of alcohol after 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
The applicant has got quite a bit of experience in this field. He is a licensee for over 3 years in Clapton Express, which is a place that he will be selling it shortly, as soon as this license is granted, hopefully. He also knows the area very well because he has worked for nearly 10 years in the shop, which is about 2 minutes walk from the current premises. It's called the Whitmore Food Center. So he's very familiar with the area and with the residents there. The license, as we said, is from 7 to 11 on and off the premises. He's happy to reduce the Sunday hours to close at stop selling alcohol at 10 p.m. and maybe start at 8. We prepared a training pack for him, which will be available for inspection of the premises, or we can send it over to you. You can email it to you because we have a digital copy. He'll be having posters at the premises. I can see you're all busy somewhere else. Okay. To remind the customers to leave the area quietly. The CCTV poster. There's another important poster which reminds the customers that drinking in public is strictly prohibited. And lastly, the 4 licensing objectives, which is just a reminder really for the staff to have a look at it and be familiar and be reminded at all times about the things that they'll be facing and how to tackle any issues that they'll have. They do have a couple of tables outside in front. They have a payment license for that, but the customers there are a mix of mainly elderly and couples. It is not a drinking den or something that I think the residents are concerned about, which I totally understand if they're not familiar with the place, but if anyone goes and sees that, they'll see that there's nothing like that. This is just a very normal coffee shop with mainly couples going there with children, so of them, or people reading books or checking their emails. It's not a drinking a boozer. And that's mainly it, really.
Okay, thank you, Besim. I would like just to, because you've said you're an organic sort of organic market and cafe, fruit and veg. You sell craft beer, specialty wines, high-end bakery. You've got a bit of seating in the store, and you've got on your plan, which is here that you've submitted. You have 6 times 4 seated tables on this plan.
Yeah,
so
there's less tables than that, actually. I think they just put them there just in case, but it's way less than that.
The thing is, Besim, about this, and this is before we get into, just like a little picture of how your place operates, kind of thing, in regards to people coming in and eating and stuff. And also, I think you mentioned that you'd only have off sales, or you agreed only with food orders. But the off sales starts at 7 in the morning. I mean, would you expect to do food orders from 7 in the morning?
You mean deliveries? The food deliveries are going to be minimal. This is a sandwich place, not really a pizza place. They're not really relying on deliveries at all. That's just a helper only to pay the bills. The food deliveries on a sandwich place are very, very minimal. If they get 4 or 5 a day max, they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand because you have agreed, I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, that it'll only be off sales with food orders. Is that correct?
Yes, alcohol will be with food orders only. There won't be any sales of alcohol without food. No.
So do you need that 7 o'clock in the morning?
Not necessarily, no. Very unlikely anybody's going to order the food.
I'm just thinking about sort of tidying it up a little bit. If we could have everything from 12, it would just make it a bit easier.
For deliveries, yeah.
So that'd be good. Great. And then can you just explain kind of, how people might come in and use the place in terms of, now that if we grant you this license, you will be serving alcohol. Is there a condition on the license, Suba, anywhere in relation to having drinks with a meal? There isn't. How would you feel about a condition around that?
For on sales, we have already.
For on sales, so only drink with food.
Oh yeah, we have made that suggestion already. I did email licensing more than a week ago to say that we're happy to have the alcohol sales on and off the premises with food orders only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that clarification. So yeah, just a little picture. How does it work then? People just come in, they might do a bit of shopping. I mean, what are they buying food-wise, I suppose is the question. What are you offering?
They're preparing fresh sandwiches, they're fresh meals. These are ciabatta type of meals. They're not cheap, greasy spoon cafes type of stuff. It's a little bit more high-end items. Yeah, cakes and coffee.
I mean, do you think
something similar to maybe Starbucks? Something similar to that.
I suppose I'm just trying to get to the bottom of the kind of the alcohol relevance here in a way. I mean, okay, someone might have a ciabatta sandwich.
Yeah.
They're unlikely to have a glass of wine with that. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I mean, they could do. I mean, people do all kinds of things, but you know what I'm trying to get at here. If we're having alcohol with a meal, I mean, we could say substantial meal. Obviously, a ciabatta is not a substantial meal. We need to kind of think about that, because what we're trying to avoid people is Besim, is people sitting out there just willy-nilly drinking outside on those tables. That's what we're trying to avoid.
That will definitely not happen. They'll be selling craft beers and won't be selling like house lagers or anything cheap that street drinks would be interested in.
Yeah.
So if you're concerned about problems like alcohol-related problems, most of the street drinks would go for like cheap alcohol, some of the low in price and high in the ABVs, but that's not what they'll be selling there. These are mainly craft beers, which may be high in ABV, but definitely not low in price.
Yeah. I'm going to invite members in now to just come in with a few questions and stuff. I mean, I think we need to kind of get into this a little bit more. The sort of the timings around alcohol, when it can be sold, what with.
It's the type of clientele really that says it all. So if I'll welcome any of you to visit the place yourself and say that you probably change your mind. But...
Okay. Any members with questions?
Yeah,
points?
Basim, can you tell us about the serving the food and drinks? Is it going to be like a table serving or just self-serving? Can you give us some information on that, please?
It's table service, yeah. There's no self-service there.
Okay, I'm still slightly blurry about the sort of the business model, but Councillor Root, maybe come and help us.
Well, I'm interested to know a bit more about how many tables and chairs you want to have outside. So I looked on Google Maps, and Google Maps shows the picture that we have on Google Maps shows, I think, places for 6 people to sit outside. So I think quite a lot of the concerns that Councillor Smith's got would be pretty much eliminated with the idea that you'd only have 6 people sitting outside. But on the plan that you've sent in, there are 24 seats outside. So I think personally, I would like us to hit on a number that would be the maximum number of seats that you would be planning to have outside, because I think that would help us a lot. So can I ask, have you got a number in mind for that? I mean, is 6 what you normally do, and are you planning to stick with that, or what do you think?
I think 6, you're referring to the tables in the front, and the rest of the tables are on the side. So yeah, if there's any concerns about the number of customers seated outside on the side road, maybe we could reduce those seats by a few. I don't think that will affect.
I think that I'm not asking you to. Well, I mean, you said earlier on that whoever had drawn up the plan had just put lots of tables and chairs on the plan because that's what their bit of software did or whatever. And that wasn't representative of what you're planning to do. What I'm trying to
maximize the use of the space. So I think that was the idea.
Okay, so in maximizing the use of the space, how many people do you want to seat outside? That's because we want to know that. It makes a huge difference to how we're going to go forward.
What would be the maximum of people you're going to have outside? 20 maximum?
18, 20 maximum.
18, 20 maximum.
Okay, that's a lot.
No.
I mean, that's a lot. That's significantly different to what it looks like at the moment on the screenshot that we've got from Google Maps.
So, well, we can negotiate that. That's not something that I think he would insist on.
Yeah, on the ground floor plan, it shows 26 people, 24 people actually.
Yeah, so if you're looking at 20, that's ballpark the same as the plan. I was just trying to get at, what are you looking at? If you're looking for 20 people, then there will be restrictions on the sale of alcohol outside after a certain hour for sure.
I actually think he's being very optimistic about having 20 people outside. I don't think he's going to be that lucky to have that many customers there. But this is not like a pub with pub benches outside. These are just those chairs are not that comfortable for people to sit and drink alcohol all day. It's not the kind of a place for sure.
No, I appreciate that, but you'll also appreciate too that we're licensing a premises. We're not licensing your business. So if the premise is sold to a different sort of business, it's a different sort of manager who comes in who may want to take full advantage of whatever you've got, and that could end up being quite noisy. So the point I'm making really is, if you're wanting to license for 20 people to be outside, you will find that there will be a much earlier restriction on the time that you can sell alcohol to be consumed outside. If you want to give us a number like 8 as your maximum number for outside, then we'll be more
lenient.
time.
Yeah.
It's
I
up to
think
you.
the only concern is that reducing the number of customers outside, it will mean that they will reduce it for consumption of just food and soft drinks. So if we can get to an arrangement to just, let's say that the side of the building is going to stop selling alcohol after a certain hour, that we could negotiate that. I don't think that would be more reasonable.
I mean, thank you for those questions, Councillor Root. I think they're very important. Very important questions those you were asking. Besson, the thing is about that particular area is that side bit of the building. That pavement's really wide. So if we have people kind of sitting, and it's quite an attractive space. It could possibly be an attractive space where people just hang around. They drink alcohol, on the street, not necessarily on the table. So we're trying to avoid that because basically it's a really strongly residential area. So that's what we're trying to avoid, and that's what Councillor Root was trying to get at in regards to the numbers outside, because we can't risk having 24 people out there drinking, frankly, until 11 at night, because we will get complaints about that, and you will get complaints, and that's going to be no good for anybody. But just back to the business model, this business about, you mentioned food and it's sandwiches, ciabatta sandwiches,
it's quite a few different hot foods as well. I just meant to mention the sandwiches because that's the first thing that came to mind because I went there last week to see the place. But
so is there a kind of a, because you're not saying that you're a restaurant, really, you're saying that you're a kind of cafe, organic food-based shop, cafe sort of place, yeah?
They need to also healthy ranges, yeah.
So not a restaurant. It's not a restaurant.
I wouldn't say so. Well, a mixture of restaurant, cafe, restaurant. Yeah.
Kind of bistro or something.
A bistro. Yeah, I mean, the point is, I suppose if we put a restriction on your conditions saying that you can only have alcohol with a substantial meal, are you able to provide a substantial meal from your premises? That's what I'm saying, which would involve, a little menu or something, wouldn't it?
There's an a la carte menu. There are several hot dishes that they serve, like a quiche type of dishes, or although they are pies.
And you in essence would be happy.
Sorry?
You would be happy with a condition that said alcohol can only be served with a substantial meal. You would be happy with that.
Definitely.
Yeah. And would you be content to restrict the numbers of people outside to say 8, as suggested by Councillor Root?
Okay. Well, what do you think about having only 8 people sitting outside? Or is it more suitable for you to, let's say, stop selling alcohol outside after 8 p.m.?
Ne diyeyim ben şimdi
Which one suits you better?
şimdilik zaten 8 kişiye indiriyor da ben 2 tarafın da belediyeye başvurdum.
Sorry, we have an interpreter here because I don't speak Turkish.
2 tarafa aldım.
Yeah.
Yani zaten çok yetersiz geldi yani. En az 12 kişi vermesi lazım.
Yeah, I can see you're waiting, Amanda, patiently. Just 1 second till we get the answer to this question. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, but having the number of people sitting outside and drinking alcohol till 11 is unacceptable. We're not going to accept that. So we should either reduce the hours outside or the number of people. I think it's in his favor to reduce the hours outside rather than the number of people, so that way people can sit quietly and have a coffee.
On the other hand, yes, to make it clear, yes, If it
Yeah.
goes up to 11 o'clock, there will be 8 people, yeah? And if it goes to up to 10 o'clock, for example, there will be more people. So which one do you prefer? That's as simple as that. Very clear.
Ben yani coffee shop olarak
Sorry.
9 bile bana yeter.
9 o'clock?
9
o'clock?
enough. Coffee shop olarak 9 o'clock enough for me.
Okay. Okay, can we come to an agreement? So let's say the alcohol will not be served outside after 9 p.m.
Well, members will have to deliberate that. I mean, we can ask them directly how they feel about that. Councillor Root, how do you feel about that idea? Bearing in mind that some children go to bed around 7.
I think that if we also maintain the condition of with a substantial meal, we're probably okay, because we're looking then at diners, aren't we? Rather than boozers.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's probably okay. I mean, I you know,
Residents did ask for 7.
they did ask for 7, didn't they? I mean, I must say I'd be happier with 8 for serving alcohol outside. And because it seems to me that if you serve alcohol until 9, it might take people until 10 o'clock by the time they've drunk up. Whereas if you serve alcohol until 8, they'll be finished by 9 and they'll be looking to move on. So my gut feeling is if we're going to have larger numbers outside, which is what it seems that they would prefer, then probably 8 o'clock is the right sort of limit, I think.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. with
Did
that.
I understand correctly, Gilbert, about what Penny says? The last order should be by 8 o'clock. Is that what you are saying, Penny?
Yeah.
Yeah, for alcohol, yes.
Okay. I would be happy for the last order, yeah, 8:30 something. Yes, definitely. Because by the time people, yes, eats and, you know, also there will be the service will be there will be table service. So because, for example, as a customer, if I go to one place, yeah, it's not going to be before 6, 7 o'clock at least, you know.
Yeah.
By the time I order my food and my drink, enjoy my time in with my company, it will take another few hours. So yeah, 8:30, 9 is, I'm happy with that.
Okay. How does Amanda? I know you're waiting. Just one second. Bessem, 8:30. How does that work?
For outside, we're talking about the outside, yeah?
Yeah, last order for the alcohol, 8:30.
8:30? 8:30? Yes. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we've hit a halfway house. Brilliant.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, Amanda, thank you for your patience.
Chair, I just want to clarify. You were saying 8 people outside. Is that still the case?
No, they want to. They were restricting the hours now for alcohol sales until
Okay.
8:30.
Okay, I've got
The number of tables, because obviously, Bessem, we have to go with what's on this plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's in front of us. So that's what you're asking for. So you're asking for 24 seated people out there. That's what you're asking for until 11. Restricting alcohol sales until 8:30. I'll tell you now.
How many
this area,
tables is that?
there's 6 tables with 4 seats around each one on this plan. You've heard what we think about the numbers out there. That's down to you. But as far as this plan's concerned, if we offer this license, it would be for 24 people, because that's what's on the plan. But you will be restricting your alcohol hours to 8:30, as I said. This area, that side area with this big pavement here, you know the bit I mean? Yeah, that's the bit that we're worried about. This bit here, and people congregating out there. Yeah. So we've tried to negate that by giving you a condition for alcohol with table meal, substantial table meal only, and table service. Yeah. So we're trying to create a kind of civilized space here, where there won't be people won't feel about hanging around out here, kind of thing, having a drink. Yeah.
Understand. It's very unlikely that alcohol will be sold in any significant numbers outside anyway. This is only if for an odd customer they don't want to lose the whole table. That's really it. It's very unlikely that this is going to be a place dedicated for alcohol drinkers. Because they would alienate the rest of the customers. So anyone seeing the type of clientele, they would have understood what I mean.
Yeah. And I would say that, you know, when you're operating this venue or this cafe,
Yeah,
or
but hidden
organic
because of the
food shop,
menus.
bistro, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
Just you need to keep an eye on that area there. You just need to keep a really good eye on there that there's nothing happens in that area.
yeah,
Yeah?
definitely. There will be cameras all around it.
Amanda.
Yes, Chair. Sorry, further 2 points about the outside area. Firstly, the actual, they said that they've got tables and chairs license. Usually there'll be a limit on that license of how many tables and chairs they're allowed to have as well. So
Good point.
that should need to be checked. And I would be surprised if they didn't have it with them to confirm how many they're allowed to have out there.
Yeah.
So, and
Did you get-
secondly, I know you said that it would be a substantial table meal, but because of the type of menu they have, it won't be a substantial menu. It will be basically food ancillary, alcohol ancillary to food. So basically ensuring that food's available at all times when alcohol is being served at tables.
Okay, well that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, so it's only because it's not a
If members
restaurant.
agree,
and that's-
members
yeah.
agree with that one. Ancillary to food, Councillor Root and Ozen. Does that sound acceptable to you? Yeah.
That's the only appropriate thing in this particular case because of the type of
Yep.
premises. Okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
That was the point I was trying to dig out earlier on.
Yeah.
Bessem, yes.
Alcohol to be sold ancillary to food. Sure, understand.
Yep.
Agree.
You're good. You're good with that one. Now, do you know on your table and chairs license, pavement license, how many sort of chairs and tables you've got on that
Well,
license?
exactly as it's shown in the plans, we did provide them with the same.
Okay.
plans that applied for
Okay,
it.
so that corroborates that one.
Yes, yes. The
Okay.
tables and chairs license is on the window. It's there on display.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, well, I think we've had a good discussion, members. If you're happy to move on, unless you've got any other queries or points of clarification you'd like at this stage, I think everything's quite clear. Yeah. Okay, so closing remarks. Bessem, you just want to come back with your closing remarks. You know how you feel about things. You know if you're happy.
Well, no, I think you've all been very reasonable. So thank you all for your efforts and your suggestions.
Okay, great, brilliant. Okay, well, I think we can call this meeting, part of the meeting, to a close. There's no other business to look at. So thank you very much for your attendance. And you can ring us up tomorrow. You'll hear via the phone, or we'll give you a written one within 5 days.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all, and have a nice evening.
And you, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Owen.